Tonight you'll eat something soft, something sweet maybe, something that took no more effort than opening a wrapper. Your body will barely notice. But the real answer to what humans are supposed to eat is far stranger than anything on your plate. For most of your species' existence, there was no bread, no rice, no cereal in a bowl. Your ancestors ate what the land gave them, and the land rarely gave the same thing twice. Anthropologist Catherine Milton spent years studying the diets of wild primates and early human groups, and she found something that upends the modern picture entirely. Diversity, not repetition, was the rule. A single week might bring roots, insects, shellfish, tubers, wild greens, and the occasional windfall of meat. Nothing was reliable, everything was seasonal. So how did the brain survive on such an unpredictable menu? It adapted. Your skull today holds an organ that consumes roughly 20% of your daily energy, even though it makes up only 2% of your body weight. That ratio didn't come from stability, it came from scarcity, and from the constant pressure to extract calories from difficult, fibrous, unglamorous food. This is where things get uncomfortable for anyone picturing a caveman gnawing on a mammoth steak. Meat was a bonus, not a foundation. Researcher Amanda Henry analyzed the dental plaque of Neanderthal remains and found something nobody expected. Starch granules from plants, some of them cooked. Not raw survival food. Cooked, processed, deliberately prepared plant matter, locked into teeth for tens of thousands of years. Cooked plants in a Neanderthal's mouth. Doesn't that rewrite the whole story? It means the line between primitive and sophisticated eating was never as clean as we like to believe. Your ancestors were experimenting with fire, with fermentation, with grinding tools, long before anyone planted a single seed on purpose. Think about what that actually required. Grinding wild grass seeds into something edible takes patience. Knowing which roots are poisonous and which ones aren't takes generations of trial and error, passed down before writing existed to hold the knowledge. Every meal was, in a real sense, an accumulated inheritance of other people's mistakes. And it wasn't only plants. Coastal groups were pulling shellfish from tide pools tens of thousands of years ago, leaving behind mountains of discarded shells that archaeologists still find today. Inland groups tracked migrating herds across entire continents, timing their movements around animals that had no calendar but the seasons. None of it was random. All of it demanded a kind of intelligence that modern life rarely tests. And then agriculture arrived, and everything changed, but maybe not for the better. Biologist and author Jared Diamond called the shift to farming the worst mistake in the history of the human race. That's a bold claim. But the skeletal evidence backs him up. When populations switched from foraging to farming, average height dropped. Tooth decay increased. Skeletal markers of anemia and infection became common in a way they hadn't been before. A diverse diet had narrowed into a handful of staple crops, and the body paid for it. Why would anyone trade variety for scarcity, freedom for repetition? Because farming produced more food per acre, even if it produced worse food per person. It allowed populations to grow, even as individuals grew weaker. It's a trade humanity has never fully undone. You are, in a sense, still living inside that bargain. Consider what a single staple crop demands of a body built for variety. Wheat, rice, and maize each supply plenty of calories, but a narrower spread of vitamins and minerals than a forager's shifting diet ever did. Early farming villages show this in their bones. Enamel defects, stunted long bones, signs of chronic nutritional stress that simply don't appear in the skeletons of the foragers who came before them. Abundance, it turns out, is not the same thing as nourishment. There's an irony hiding inside all of this. Agriculture is often taught as the moment humanity finally solved hunger. The evidence suggests something closer to the opposite. It solved unpredictability, and in doing so, introduced a new and quieter kind of malnourishment, one measured not in empty stomachs but in narrow diets. Here's the part that should sit with you. Your body still runs on hardware built for the old menu. Your taste for fat and sugar isn't a flaw, it's a memory. It's the echo of a species that rarely got enough of either, and so learned to crave them intensely whenever they appeared. In a world of constant scarcity, that craving kept you alive. In a world of constant abundance, it works against you. Your gut carries the same inheritance. Researchers studying the microbiomes of contemporary hunter-gatherer groups, including the Hadza of Tanzania, have found bacterial diversity far richer than what shows up in populations eating a standard modern diet. Fewer processed staples, more varied fiber. A gut ecosystem shaped by irregularity rather than routine. Does that mean modern food is poison? Not exactly. It means your biology was never built for sameness. It was built for surprise. Every meal your ancestors ate came with a small element of the unknown, a slightly different mix of plants, textures, and nutrients than the one before it. That unpredictability wasn't a hardship to survive. It was a kind of nourishment in itself. One your genes still expect, even now. So the next time you look at a plate of food that looks nothing like a modern nutrition chart, a strange root vegetable, an unfamiliar grain, a bitter green, remember that this is closer to your evolutionary baseline than anything wrapped in plastic. Strangeness was normal. Variety was survival. And tonight, when you eat something soft, something sweet, something that took no more effort than opening a wrapper, know that your body is still quietly waiting for the world it was built for. A world that asked for more. A world that gave you less. And somehow, that was exactly enough.